Are we live? I believe we're live. Greetings and felicitations, non-existent viewers. Oh. Wednesday we were having fun with the first dunk coats for our lark claws. Today we shall be continuing and hopefully adding a couple more layers in the next couple of hours, which is after all what we're here for. You can tell that it's getting very, very, very cold. The latex that I had on here since Wednesday is still dry, or wet should I say. We've been playing with these. Interesting. Working on our gloves. Let's see, we've got some interesting dribbles. Some areas are kind of quite heavily covered because of the nature of the beast, so we'll be working to minimize that in future, because that area is more than thick enough. But they're looking pretty good. Let's have a look at the other one. Don't drop it this time. Tit. As you can see, the latex gets goes mostly clear. But sort of where it's thick, you can kind of see the colour change. Doing quite nicely. Okay, turn our radiator on. We need a bit of heat in here because it's bloody cold. Our pot of joy and whimsy. So yes, so what we're going to do is let it dribble a little bit more. So once again, it's just the same old, same old. Ladling it on. top and bottom. I see a big chunk in that bit, so we'll make sure everything's covered. Now I'm not covering the entire glove, because if we do that the elastic's not going to stretch as much. And then we're just going to blow out any and all of the bubbles we find. We'll just try and shake off as much of the excess. Thing is, because of the difference in temperature, or the changes in temperature, latex has a habit of acting differently in summer and winter. Oh, hello. We seem to have camera down. What's wrong with you? Stop being strange. But yeah, it all seems to act very differently depending on, you know, who's sort of what time of year it is. It's kind of irritating. Because by the time you're sort of used to the summer florations, we've got to deal with winter. because it all dries at different speeds. I know the theory is you sort of get a drying room to manage that. But the prop itself is at a different temperature. So it's kind of dry on the sort of cold on the inside and warm on the outside. So you end up with a skin, because the outside surface is dried, and it takes much longer for the inner surface to dry, so you get more pooling. Now it can all be dealt with. It's just, you know, fun and interesting and requires more thought and effort. Generally in the summer, you don't have to babysit props as much, because they'll just sort of dry nice and quickly, all on the Todd. All on their own, without you having to watch over them. I kind of feel like sort of as we're sort of noticing a lot more pooling, we just need to do a bit more babysitting, that's all. Instead of dealing with the dribbles in there, I'm gonna take it out and take care of the dribbles here. And I hope that I'll be able to see them better. Now, I know I mentioned previously that I don't want to move it too much. I'm hoping that a little bit of movement, just let it kind of sort of trying to keep an eye out for any problematic dribbles. Just keep this up until they kind of stop. Just sort of checking up on it really. So obviously the fun part of model making, staring at latex drying. Just an attempt to sort of necessarily stop the latex pooling. Because these are very awkward shapes. And each finger, sort of, that one is very much sort of on its side, so it's all going to pull there. That one's a bit more tilted down, so it'll pull further on, sort of down the bottom, but on this side. That one's kind of perfect, but the curve of the nail means that it's going to sort of dribble just there. That once again sort of on this side, so it's there and blah de blah. Just sort of play with it a little. Maybe we can persuade it to do what we want. Unlikely as that is. How are you doing? Kind of see it in detail, the slow pooling of bloody latex. Really be good is if we could get something that sort of basically turns it around in random directions. Nice and slowly. Sort of turn it slowly like a rotisserie chicken. Just sort of doing it like this wouldn't necessarily help because I need it to be able to sort of, you know, a full 180. While over a heat. I think that's most of the dribbles sorted. What I'll do is I've got the heat on. It's not directly over them, so hopefully it'll give us a less intense heat. I'll give it 5-10 minutes to stew a little. Now, what I may end up doing, this will be the third dunk coat. They're attached, so we probably want to have 4 dunk coats, to be honest, just for good extreme maximum coverage. That way we can focus all of Wednesday's stream on doing the spray coats, and that'll be, we'll just need to do on Wednesday 1 layer of black, just to give ourselves a nice sort of starter coat, and then one, maybe 2 layers of the a bone colour, just sort of off-white, and then we'll sort of go on the detail. Hopefully, maybe we'll get it done on Wednesday. Let's just check to see if I think I may need some more primer to seal them. Hello! We seem to have some visitors. How are we? How is everyone? From a fellow LARP crafter in Germany. Oh! Greetings and salutations. We're currently making some latex claws or foam claws, and they're currently in the drying room, sort of getting their third dunk coat. How are you on this fine and frigid morning, afternoon? Two fantastic bards in my stream, so no crafting for me today. Oh, excellent. Fancy creative chaos as well with me. Yes, well, sort of, my workshop is sort of, I'd say at its tidier, to be honest. I can quite easily walk around without falling or dying on anything in particular. So, you know, you could see most of my work table. Not that I actually need it at the moment. I'm just kind of giving the claws a little bit of a dry at the moment. They've been having a bit of a problem with dribbles. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. Yeah, just with a bit of a pooling problem. Oh, they're still dribbling. How good is that on stream? They're very white at the moment, unfortunately, so I imagine it's... Thank you very much. They're mostly white at the moment because the latex is so very, very damp. So I'm not entirely sure how that comes over on the stream. But they're intended to be sort of vaguely skeletal claws. But I think we're doing all right, actually. The dribbling's mostly stopped, and hopefully it's not going to be pooling that badly. Let's have a look at the other one. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, I think that's fine, actually. Yeah, they should be dribbling. No, I think most of the dribbles are done. I think they're good to go in to cook for about half an hour. And hopefully by then we will have them ready for their fourth and final dunk coat. That should be jolly. Now, what to do with myself while I'm waiting? I've I've actually been having a play about with some new paint. Ooh, excuse me. Yep, while they dry, I will check up on them every now and again. I've recently purchased myself some speed paints and been sort of playing about with some miniature painting. It's just something to sort of keep me occupied while the coats are drying. I'm still sort of a bit dubious about whether or not I like speed paints. They go on very nicely. They're just a little random, to be honest. I'm still getting used to them. But yeah, let's have a play with some stuff. There we go. I have a new toy. Because I'm far too lazy to actually shake my own bottles. So what have people been up to? Saying we have a couple of LARP makers in stream. What have you been making of late? I've been mostly complaining about the fact that it's far too cold in my workshop. Well, obviously I'm hardy and capable of dealing with the cold. It kind of makes the latex dry different. Everything's all sort of odd and irritating. It doesn't dry like it does in summer. I'm not entirely sure how brown this stuff is. More green, to be honest. Not necessarily a problem painting my not at all Skaven Ratman. Attempt to learn how to use speed paints. It's the first time I've ever played with them. Crafts and winter gear for February con for my seaside hermit bard character. Thinking coarse wool stockings, a knitted hat with seashell embellishments and a bit of rugged shawl to layer. Yes, layers, layers, always layers. That is until the wool gets rained on, unfortunately. I remember on a it was an early spring LARP I went to, and boy did it rain. Oh yes, and with over 1,000 people on a field, it quickly turned into a quagmire. We were most definitely sort of wading through the mud and ichor that weekend. You weren't as much sort of fighting monsters as sort of sloshing your way towards the enemy. You kind of have to sort of empathise with how the French felt at Agincourt. It was quite jolly. Have fun. Off to the Christmas market. Yes. I've spent many a year trying to reduce everyone's expectations as far as presents to simplify things, but have fun and get something entertaining. I do like the Christmas market just for the little sort of food stalls and Lunchables that you can have while you're there. Get some something nice, warm and mulled. Something warm to drink while you're wandering out in the cold. Enjoy. Yes. I can guarantee, sort of going back to the LARP incident, there was a hell of a lot of people who were regretting wearing thick wool that weekend, because once it gets wet, it really does get wet. That's why I started looking into the what do they call it? The non sort of stick water spray you can get, the nanotech sort of stuff that you're supposed to be able to spray on clothing to make it non sort of just slough off the water. It didn't necessarily work, but I did make myself a big thick knitted, cotton cloak, which worked quite well. But yes, layers, layers, all the layers. Just try not to get too wet. So once you're wet on a lark field, it's impossible to get dry again. Seaside Hermit Bard. What kind of barding does your character do? See, I've always envied the bards that can actually play a musical instrument. You know, it's easy enough to sing and hold a tune, but if you can actually sort of go along with a musical instrument, sort of have a play with a guitar or something, or especially a violin on a LARP site, that's fantastic. plan is with this guy, I don't actually have brass, which always feels like the colour of choice for Skaven. Sorry, not at all Skaven. Usual painting technique tends to involve dry brushing, dry brushing, dry brushing, dry brushing, which requires a lot less skill and attention to detail. You can hide most of your mistakes with all the dry brushing. Speed paints don't tend to sort of work well with the dry brushing. Or at least that's definitely not what they're designed for. But then again, I'm still learning, so I'm just kind of noodling at the moment. I expect most of the game to be inside a castle, and some scenes outside. I write poems on demand, love letters mostly so far, and play the recorder, sing. Not at the same time, obviously. See, yes, respect to your poetry. I've always liked to think sort of I could do poetry, but to do it sort of on demand, that's quite the talent, to be honest. I'd probably need to spend hours, days or months sort of coming up with a good rhyme that doesn't sound trite or convoluted. But if you've got the talent to come up with a good rhyme off the cuff, that's a good one. And the recorder, nice one. Obviously you don't sing and do the recorder at the same time, but no, I'm always sort of highly respectful of people who can who've spent the time to learn any kind of musical instrument. Let's have another look and just sort of I'm very impatient. I'm just going to go back and yeah, I think we managed to avoid the major examples of pooling, to be honest. Yeah, we're good. Let's stop worrying now. It was nice if most of the game's going to be inside a castle. That'll be fantastic for immersion. Run a LARP in a kind of a castle, more of a sort of run-down stately home, come sort of vaguely castle-esque, but this one had heating. It was on the Scottish border, and that was I suppose they called it Feversham. It was a Feversham castle, but that was nice and jolly. But that was heated, so we didn't have to worry as much about you know, all the thousands and thousands of layers. How many players are going to be in the LARP? Is it going to be a big one, or just you and a few friends? I find the festival LARPs, the big ones, are always good fun, but they do tend to you tend to get sort of lost in the crowd, really, don't you? You tend to end up hoping that sort of, you know, they've got a good beer tent and you can entertain yourselves. But the smaller LARPs, when it's kind of everyone gets given a specific character, you actually have plots specifically for yourself. Oh, hello. May need a bit more stir in this one. Oh wow, that exploded. I guess I need to do a lot of blue. Just making a few. Making some models for a roleplay game I'm in at the moment. Yes, a nice variety of different types of miniatures. These three are for a roleplay game. That's for my Necromunda gang. These are Glorantha miniatures that I bought as a birthday, I didn't. I bought the STLs and printed them out as a birthday present for my partner. I have a weird obsession with RuneQuest and all things weird and Glorantha-y. I'm still a little mostly as an experiment to see if I like these new speed paints. And like the neutral planet, it's a definite maybe. Definite maybe. Something else that's blue. Sits up. Just recently been. I got myself a new printer a couple of months ago, and I've been having fun with 3D printed everything. I've had a resin printer for a while. This is a new filament one. Made myself some. Off for a walk outside while there's still light. Yes, get it while you can. Wrap up well, because if you live anywhere close to where I am, it's cold out there. Have fun. I'm gonna go actually go out for a alligator. Probably a good idea. But yeah, it's definitely very cold at the moment. What does that show on the screen? It's fuzzy as hell by the look of it on my screen, to be honest. Yeah, it's Problem is we don't want any blue on you. I think I need to start sort of with the bit more leather colour for the orb. Oh, actually, ducks are slightly blue, aren't they? look at some images of ducks. Mostly yellow. Because that's the colour of rubber ducks. Ah, joy, not helpful at all. No. Let's give them all some blue tunics. And I suppose the kind of mallards are sort of dark green, aren't they? I think. Obviously Donald is white. Everyone knows Donald is white. I don't know. Angry Duck Man. Ever so slightly blue. Doing a Naruto run. At least a fuzzy image of an angry duck doing the Naruto run. Yep, all of these are going to be painted blue. So I splurged all my blue paint all across the universe and need to use it up. I need to get a heater for outside the drying room. Because it's not heated in my workshop, unfortunately. And I imagine it's going to get a lot colder than it is today. And as your typical Englishman, all I can do is talk about the weather. Ooh, no, finger on model. Bad idea. Oh, this music's a bit sedate, isn't it? Suppose it's about right for a nice relaxed stream. Nothing's going wrong. I haven't cut myself or slipped on something, which which obviously never happens because I'm a total professional. I know what I'm doing. Something like the blue's quite nice. What's going on? Well, again, need to get a good camera specifically for gratuitous close-ups. That would probably be quite handy, to be honest, just sort of in the corner of the stream, just sitting there waiting for me to just sort of. Now for close-up angle 64. But we're not a professional streamer yet. I'd actually have to have money to be a professional streamer. I'm a cheap-ass streamer. Any corner cut, if it can be done cheaper, it shall. There we go. And we've touched the model again. Yay! If it can be done well, if it can be done properly, it's probably not being done here. Here, you know, it'll do. It's good enough. I'm not looking for perfection. Well, we can look for it, but don't expect it. See, annoyingly, my computer has been crashing during streams. Generally at sort of between the 1 hour, 1.5 hour and 2 hour mark. The computer's not amazing, but it's not shabby. And since this room is pretty cold, I don't think it's overheating. So my theory is that we're running out of memory or whatever. So I've been turning off my recording every hour since I've noticed it crashing. And well, it's probably a little too early to say for certain. But last stream when I tried it, we didn't have anything too catastrophic. So maybe that's the solution. It's much better than spending money. There we go. I think I blued everything that needs to be blued. Raining outside. Oh, it just gets better. Nice, happy Duckman. Pretty chubby as well. Well, try some skin tone for our heroes. Stick it in the thing. I went to all the expense of printing it out. There we go. Yeah, it's this colour isn't really covering very well. And irritatingly, it's actually bleeding into the rest of the model. So you may need several coats, I suppose, but not ideal. Unless of course I need to shake it for much, much longer. I've got an industrial Shake-O-Matic. It's supposed to do all the shaking for me. So it requires about 16 coats. Yeah, you're still damp from the glue. Let's get some dark wood, hoplite gold, desolate brown, that's the greeny brown, warrior skin, zealot yellow, pied bone, nuclear sunrise, that's probably going to be orange, black, white and grey, I want some brown, more brown. Let's try warrior skin for, 'cause I need something for all the right, how about I mute this so you guys don't have to hear. Okay. Is it better when I mute that? Need brown for straps. Ooh, that actually looks a lot better. I think I'll do that in future. A bit more shaking. Still kind of thin. Not entirely convinced, to be honest. Admittedly, I got this without looking at any tutorials, any advice, so it may actually behoove to do a bit of research before I entirely sort of, you know, doomsay it. It isn't bad. Just not entirely sure it's very good for the fine details. You know, it comes off the brush nicely enough, but then again, it's basically liquid. Not as much painting and more really inking. I suppose in the end they're more kind of coloured inks. Oh, someone wants to speak to me. Yeah, coloured inks. Obviously, because it's orc, needs to be a bit rusted. No metal wants to. Just how good is it about? It's not bad actually. Doing the paint on, wipe off technique works okay. Yeah, the brown is quite good for giving a grimy look. Yeah, it works alright. Let's try it on our Skaven model. Have you tried yet? Yes, yes, yes. It's just the whole thing. No, tighten, tighten, tighten. So this is how I like to paint. without attention to detail. Just cover everything. Which one are you? Yeah, warrior skin. The Lazy Master's Guide to Painting. Yeah, I think if we do this, yeah, that's not looking bad actually. That vaguely looks like brass. And then we rub a good bit of it off without getting our model covered in ripped off bits of paper towel. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that actually. Okay, it's been about an hour since the fingers were done, or first dunked. Let's give them a look. Hopefully they've dried and not exploded in some way. Oh, very nice. Let's have a look at you. Yes. That's dried quite nicely. Nice and evenly. Let's have a look at you. Look a little bit damper. That's not a massive issue. You'll still take another layer. So I think we'll do our second dun coat. Yay! Or at least fourth and final. Second for this stream anyway. go. Let's put that there so you can see everything involved. Nice. Go. Now hopefully, because these have been in the dry room for a short while, they're going to be a little bit warmer than when I first coated them early in the stream. Entirely sure what difference that will make to the outcome of the coat. Ooh. But we shall see. Unfortunately, this is quite old latex. And we're noticing some blobs and solid bits and stuff floating in the latex. So just going to have to keep an eye and make sure we don't let them mess up our pour. Okay, almost done with this one, and there we go. All seems to be nicely covered. Oop. Now we've just got to blow all the bubbles off. So you can't see any more. Loads of bubbles on this side. Can you see them? Oh, we missed a bit. Get a bit of a finger. And just triple that. It's just to try and shake some of the excess off. And cover my boots in latex. Let's go, dribble. Gonna get everywhere. So let's just put this back there. Let's try a different angle for you. Let's try raising you up a little. Tilt you down. There. Yeah, I am liking the way these are coming out, to be honest. They're very nice. We've got to make sure that it doesn't get soaked or too much in between the fingers. It's kind of the reason why I had to make the template to stretch out the fingers, or splay them out, should I say. Oh, we've got a blob. A very solid blob. more on my bleeding boots. It's the only pair of boots I got. Far too cheap to... Oh, these are on the last legs anyway, to be honest. It's good. Everything of mine eventually becomes covered in latex at some point. Promise myself. No. This is a good shirt. I'm definitely not going to go into the workshop wearing this. And then, oh no. I could get changed out of this shirt, but I'm only going to go in for 5 seconds. I'm not going to do anything major. Well, while I'm here, I may as well touch this up. But you know, now I've touched that up and haven't got anything dirty, how about I just do this and... Oh dear. There I've gone and done it. Oh dear. I've just done exactly what I promised myself I wouldn't do. Trying to make sure that you catch any latex as it pulls. Dribble. I don't mind this being an odd, irregular shape. You may have noticed I actively don't care about the top. Okay. Now swap it over. dribbles as they form. Just try and put it to an angle that you can kind of see. Oh. Make sure that it doesn't kind of, because obviously we want a certain amount of sort of ability to wiggle the fingers, so catching that. So you don't necessarily want to hold it like that, because all that does is sort of make the latex dribble up and then down. So you're not sort of removing the excess, you're just kind of spreading it about. I suppose that is what we're trying to do, isn't it? No, you should do this. No, yes, you shouldn't do that. It's all kind of suck it and see, really. Experiment and play. We're going to make mistakes. Anyone who shows you, look at me, I've made this awesome thing. Invariably there's going to be at least 2 or 3 examples of failed thing. Oh, no, don't touch, don't touch. It's easy for them not to touch. And here we go, just sort of fiddling and playing until it's give them 5 minutes on cook. That way we'll get some dribble out of them. Give them another check-up. Joy. Ow. I love these barrels. Probably one of the more worthwhile investments I've made. They're food safe containers. Specifically for kind of keeping liquids airtight and whatnot, and they're food grade quality, and they are absolutely fantastic, excuse me, at keeping my latex young and fresh and good quality. They've been a lifesaver, or at least, you know, a money saver. They've kept my latex going when they really should have dried out. So we're just gonna keep them, sort of keep the fingers cooking a little for 5-10 minutes, just to get the excess out. I think we're close to done. Once these are kind of, once most of the drip, or all of the drips, not most. Once they've stopped dripping, we can let them go, let them stew until Wednesday. So yeah, Wednesday will be my next stream, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get them done, at least sort of mostly done. Get the spray coats on. And I find spray coats tend to dry a little quicker because they're a thinner layer and coated much evenly. So we'll get them sprayed on and dried. The first layer will be black. As I explained before, sort of the next layer will mix up some bony coloured latex. Once we've done that, we should be able to basically sort of paint them up proper like, and we'll be good. Yeah. And once that's dried, just a little coat of Isoflex, and we're done. Fortunately, because the person who commissioned the gloves wants to do the fur themselves, they want to pick it out, get the right colour. I don't have to worry about dealing with the fur, which is always appreciated. I hate fur. Let's have a look at you. Yes, you're still pulling a little, aren't you? Quite well. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're lovely. Fine. A little bit off you, but I think the majority of the pulling's done now. I don't think we'll have to worry about much more in the way of dribbles. Yeah. Obviously you don't want to be handling them too much, or else you may get kind of irritating sort of draw lines. You know, when sort of the latex has slowly been going down that way, it kind of pulls a bit, gets a heavy thing, but it's fine because it's all been going down that way, and then you turn it around, it starts dribbling the other way, and then it kind of dribbles over itself. It's hard to explain, but should you ever get to this point and you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I think that's good. That'll do. And we're coming up to almost 2 hours on the stream. So thank you very much for the company and the little conversation. been nice not being on my own for once. But yes, my plan is next Wednesday around 1 o'clock UK time, whatever that is in your area, we'll be finishing these off, or at least very much kind of getting them to a point where they actually look something like what they should do. So yes, have fun, have a good weekend, enjoy.